Hi, welcome to Palace Pouts, Perfumes and Panning, and I'm here again tonight with a different video from my usual content. And those that watch regularly need no explanation, but if you're new here, I have been ill and I haven't been able to do makeup looks. So what I have been doing a lot recently is reading books, and I have been watching a lot of DVDs, box sets and films. And the type of films that I like are the classics with the old stars from old Hollywood, and the type of discs I like are series from the 80s, the 90s, the 60s, and just kind of retro vintage programs that had a niche at one time or another. And tonight I'm going to be doing a little mini review on another of one of my favorite programs, and that was the High Chaparral. So if you are interested in watching my little upload on the High Chaparral, continue to watch, please. So I do believe that the High Chaparral aired originally in the late 60s, but it would have been the mid 70s when I first remember seeing it on television as a very young child, mid to late 70s, and it would have been aired here on reruns. So the High Chaparral is a Western type show. It is set in Arizona. The main character is John Cannon. That's the character's name, and he's played by the actor Leif Erikson. Now, Leif Erikson was married to Frances Farmer, and I'm sure a lot of people would be familiar with the movie that was made about her. And she was an old Hollywood actress. So Leif Erikson plays Big John Cannon, and his brother is Buck Cannon, and he is played by actor Cameron Mitchell. Cameron Mitchell was in How to Marry a Millionaire, amongst other things, and one of my favourite old films, which doesn't get much mention anymore, but it's called No Down Payment, and that was just a fabulous film with a huge amount of stars in it. And if you do like old films and you haven't seen it, Google it or look it up. It is well worth a watch. It's a brilliant film, No Down Payment, with Cameron Mitchell. So Cameron Mitchell is Buck, and also in the Cannon family is his son Billy, William Cannon, and he is called Blue Boy. He's played by actor Mark Slade. And initially when they come to Arizona, their mum, Billy's, Blue Boy's mother, is with them, and her name is Annalise. But unfortunately, Annalise gets killed by the Apache in, I think it's the second episode, if not the first. I think it's the second one that she gets killed. So Annalise dies, and that leaves John a widower. So John has property in Arizona, and on the other side of the border is Mexico, and the land on the opposite side of his border is owned by Mexican, what shall we call him? No, I can't think of a name to call him. It's Don Sebastian Montoya, and Don Sebastian Montoya is played by actor Frank Silva. So Big John and his brother Buck go to Mexico to discuss some kind of a trip of a you help me, I'll help you with the banditos. And in the meantime, along the way, they meet this rough, scraggly person that they don't think an awful lot of at the start, and he turns out to be the son, Manolito, the son of Don Sebastian, but he doesn't tell them that at the start of the adventure, shall we say. So they ask him, does he know Don Sebastian? And he said he does, and he showed them where he lives. So he brings them to the Rancho Montoya, and that's where they find out that he is Don Sebastian's son, Manolito. And Big John and Buck meet Don Sebastian's daughter, Victoria. So, in order for this agreement to work, Don Sebastian requires terms and conditions, and one of them is that John marry Victoria. And he doesn't want to because his wife Annalise is only after dying, but he sees the advantage to it and he reluctantly agrees. So that is basically how the story starts. He brings Victoria back to the High Chaparral, where a blue boy is none too pleased to find out that his father has gone off to meet Don Sebastian Montoya and ends up bringing his daughter Victoria home as his stepmother. So that is the plot, and there is season after season after season of entertainment, and the episode that I'm watching tonight is called The Journal of Death, and that's where Marshall comes to the Cannon Ranch with a prisoner, and he asks him, can he stay for the night? He's en route to have this man tried for war crimes. He was a surgeon, and the Cannons initially agree, and it turns out they lock him up, and it turns out that Victoria gives him something to eat and he escapes, and she ends up getting hurt. She's some broken ribs, and it turns out she's some internal bleeding. So the only way she can be saved is if this man, Matt is his name, and he was a Confederate surgeon, if he operates on Victoria and removes her spleen. So John gives him the benefit of the doubt and allows him to do so, and it turns out that he is very successful. John makes the equipment for the operation, and it is a success, and he agrees to hold the man with the warrant, which is quite old and out of date, for a couple of days to give him a chance to get away, but in the end he agrees not to follow him. So there is a very, very, it's a poignant episode in the sense that Victoria's brother Manolito is in town when she gets knocked by the horse, and when he comes back he doesn't realize how sick she is, and they're so close. He came from Mexico with her, and he stays with the Cannons, and he becomes very close with John's brother Buck. So, as I said, Buck is played by Cameron Mitchell, Manolito is played by Henry Darrow, and the chemistry between those two characters is second to none. So, that is roughly the outlay of the High Chaparral. Over the seasons, John does begin to love Victoria. I think she has loved him from the start, and she doesn't want to go back to Mexico, even though her father does agree to allow her at one point. He doesn't think John was worth the effort, and he agrees to allow her out of the arrangement. And the Cannons Ranch, as I said, is the High Chaparral, and this Don Sebastian's ranch is Rancho Montoya. So there we have some of the plot from the High Chaparral. So some other characters in the show are what they refer to as the bunkhouse gang. There are the workers on the Chaparral. There is Sam Butler, who becomes very close to the Cannons. There is his brother Joe. There's Pedro. There's Ira. There's Reno. And they just form a huge bond between the two families. So everything runs quite smoothly after the first initial couple of episodes. Victoria and John come to an understanding, and he realizes that with the help of Buck that he can be happy with Victoria, and he becomes very happy with Victoria. And Blue becomes happy with her as a stepmother type character. She's very kind to him. She's kind to everyone. So the actress that plays Victoria Cannon is Linda Crystal, and Linda was Argentinian born, and she was absolutely stunning. She starred in some westerns back in the day, and she is excellent as Victoria Montoya Cannon. And throughout the seasons, Frank Silva actually passed away, so they weren't sure what to do about that. It was a tragic accidental death, and what they did was they brought a uncle, and they called him Don Domingo Montoya, and for that part they gave it to the old actor, the old film star, Gilbert Rowland. Gilbert was married to one of the Bennett sisters. He was married to Constance Bennett, who was the sister of an actress and the sister of actress Joan Bennett. Both of them were actresses. So he plays Manolito and Victoria's uncle. Now, also, there is one specific episode where Buck falls in love and proposes and intends marriage with a lady called Charlie, little old Charlie, and her name is Charlene, and that part is played by Joanna Moore. Joanna Moore was the wife of Ryan O'Neill, and she was the mother of Tatum O'Neill and Griffin O'Neill, and she was a fantastic actress. She was such a good actress, and she is just brilliant in that specific episode. And Buck falls in love, but it doesn't work out in the end. So that is one to watch if you come across it, or if you are somewhere where the show reruns of the High Chaparral. Watch out for that one. There are too many excellent episodes. Actually, there are very few dud episodes in the High Chaparral or on the High Chaparral. It is a brilliant show. Now, my favourite character, I would have to say, or my favourite characters, would be the relationship that Manolito and Buck have. They just play off each other amazingly, absolutely amazingly. I think initially they intended that the relationship would be between Manolito and Big John's son Blue Boy, Mark said, but as it worked out, it was Cameron Mitchell and Henry Darrow that had the chemistry, and they just sparked off each other, and it's just hilarious to watch, sad to watch. They have good times together, they have bad times together. They're loyal to each other, they're loyal to their siblings, they're loyal to each other's siblings, and it's just wonderful to see. And also Buck is a very, very close uncle to Blue. He is very fatherly to him, and he shows him affection, whereas Big John can't seem to do that. Now, there is another episode where Blue Boy becomes friends with a dentist, and the episode is called The Doctor from Dodge, and it turns out that the dentist is Doc Holliday, and Blue and Doc become very close, and Blue is very impressed with him, and Big John doesn't realise who he is, and he gives Blue a slap, and he tells him never call a man out unless you can take him. And at the end, Doc Holliday, who is played by Jack Kelly from Maverick, reminds Blue of what his pappy had told him, never call a man out. And when Buck comes riding to meet them, he says sure he knows him, he's a dentist and whatever, and he's John Henry Holliday, and he is Doc Holliday. And Big John just can't take it, and he just goes riding off with his head up in the air, and he's half annoyed and he's half laughing, and he's just embarrassed, and it's a very good ending to the episode. So Doctor from Dodge, that is another excellent one. And Victoria shows how kind she is in that one by she's willing to give all her jewels to have Blue Boy, he's abducted, to have him released. She's willing to give all the jewellery that her father has given her as over the years, which turns out to be very valuable. And she even gives Doc Holliday her little Derringer pistol or gun. So there we have it. Now on to the next point. So I'll end my High Chaparral review with Henry Darrow Manolito did indeed write a book, and it was called Lightning in the Bottle, and I purchased it and I read it, and I actually had it autographed by himself before he passed a while back, so this was before then. And as you can see, personalised or autographed, and I do treasure that book, and it is well worth the read. And for those who watch my Golden Girls videos, you know that I mentioned him also in that, because he was in an episode of the Golden Girls called We Have No Havanas in later years. So the late and great Henry Darrow Manolito Montoya, or as Victoria called him affectionately, Manolo, and that is one of my prized possessions. I love it, and it is a great book, and it is well worth a read. And if you come across the show, watch it if you so wish. It is well worth watching, and you will start off enjoying it and then become just entranced in the characters and their interactions and their closeness they develop over the seasons. And it is just, it can be sad. Indeed, there are a lot of very sad episodes, but there are also happy episodes, there are funny episodes, there are downright hilarious episodes. And as I said, the bond and the friendship and the chemistry and the closeness is just, it's a wonderful show. And I do remember watching it as a young child. It was on here on a Sunday afternoon around 3 o'clock. I can remember clearly watching it and not being completely into it because I was quite young at the time, but I remember watching it and then rediscovering it, and it was one of the best shows that I did rediscover, and I'm so glad I did. And I have watched every episode at least twice and some 3, 4, 5 times. I have my favourites, and if you're interested in this type of video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I am considering doing more TV show reviews. I'm considering doing some classic film reviews, and I am hopefully eventually, when I get better, going back to doing lots of makeup and palettes, pouts, perfumes and panning. And if you've stayed the distance with me for this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have watched the High Chaparral, please let me know in the comments. If you have a favourite character, let me know. And thank you so much for watching. And as I said, thumbs it up, subscribe, and ring the bell for future notifications. And your time is truly appreciated, truly. Thank you.